Hey everyone, I hope you're doing great. Today I want to show you how to make the, I almost called it the Luz, Isolina, I believe is how you pronounce it, in all fabric. I used fabric from Dark Matter Fabric for my main and my sides here, and then I used vinyl for the crossbody strap and side connectors. So this bag was so much fun to make. I hope you enjoy making it too. It's got tons of pockets. So let's check those out real quick. You can flip your handles down here and you've got one pocket right away. Inside that pocket is another hidden pocket right there. Both go almost all the way down, if not all the way down, to the bottom of the bag, which is fantastic. You open up your main zipper, and inside there is a zipper pocket. There is a slit pocket. And then on the other side, there is another sectioned slit pocket. This is a little bit smaller than what I thought it was, because I didn't look at the dimensions. It is approximately 9 by 11. Excuse me. At the very top here. It is super cute though, super functional. Again, loads of pockets. I did the long handles out of fabric, so I lost just a little bit of length. And then I did the crossbody strap as well, which would come up and over. Super, super cute bag. I hope we have so much fun sewing it. Let me know if you have any questions. Have fun. Okay, so I have now my handle and my straps with the lines marked down the center and my double-sided tape on. With the straps, I'm using fabric. So I'm gonna mark and fold I'm gonna fold in the ends of my fabric 1/4 of an inch. I don't want to lose too much length. I cut the long handles, so mine are going to be a little bit longer anyways, but I don't want to lose too much length. So those are folded in. And then we'll do the same thing we did as before and fold the raw edges to the center. I also have directional fabric, so I cut my strap into 2 pieces and then sewed them together so they would make a continuous loop of the right direction of fabric. So now I'm going to fold the other side in. These are also interfaced with geekyfuse firm. I'm not sure that I needed the firm for the strap, but I was already using it for everything else. So I've got it folded all to the center, and then we'll fold it one more time to hide those raw edges. I'll use little clips from moremeknow.com. They're just like alligator clips with no teeth. They're very nice to hold stuff together without making any marks on your fabric. Okay, so this is my strap, or this is a handle. So then I'll have the right direction fabric and the right direction fabric once they're set up. So now I'm going to stitch down the open edge. I'll stitch all the way back around to the beginning. I'm going to use a little scrap of vinyl, like a hump jumper kind of thing. I'm going to use a 5 stitch length and 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I have that seam here so I can have the continuous direction of fabric. So I'm gonna do my hump jumper again. I'm down to the other end, so I should put my hump jumper back in. This just helps get over those bulky areas without getting any kind of nesting on the back. You can hammer your seams and whatnot too, but it just doesn't do it enough for me. You should always make sure your needle is down in your fabric before you move your fabric. I say that as I did not the same, but you know. All right, so now we're gonna do the same thing with the handle, the other handle and the strap. But for the strap, you do not have to sew across the short ends if you don't want to. You can put another line of stitching through here if you wanted, like 3/8 of an inch away from the folded edges. That would look very nice. Up to you, but I'm gonna jump off and do the rest of my strap and my handle. So next we need our main panel front and our cell pocket lining, and we're gonna match up that notched curve right sides together. And sew with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. I'm going to use a number 3 stitch length. Hand crank that curve if you need to. That's a pretty tight curve. Oh, bobbin change. Okay, so then we're gonna notch our curves. Don't clip through your seam. I think that should be good. I don't think I have to cut out. Anyways, should be good. All right, then we're gonna fold this to the back. And push everything up. I'm going to start clipping it. Oops. To keep it down. And rolling my seam to the back. Okay, overall, this looks good. So I'm going to top stitch this now, switching to a 5, and I'll show you what this looks like after I top stitch it, just because I don't want it to move anywhere. Like it. Just trying to smooth that curve out a little bit, as it felt like almost like the thread started gathering the fabric. And I don't want it gathered there. I think in my last video, someone mentioned using a stiletto tool. That would probably be perfect for right now. So I should probably invest in one of those. Okay, so this is what this looks like now. And this is the back. We'll take our back, maybe it's the cell pocket backing, I believe. And we're gonna lay it right sides together with our lining fabric. Just so y'all know, I did use waterproof canvas, because I pretty much always try to use waterproof canvas. And then we're gonna clip these together. And we're actually gonna sew together our flap, like our cell pocket lining and our cell pocket backing first. Which I think I'm gonna start, I'm gonna be able to fold out my exterior this way, so I'm gonna start on this side. Looks like my flap's a little not the right size. No one will know but me, I guess, hopefully. So I'm kind of just fudging my seam allowance and trying to take it back to the original seam allowance. Must have got really wacky while I was cutting. Oopsie. Now, just make sure you keep that front pocket flap out of the way. Nobody else is going to know how big your pocket was supposed to be. So, I'm just going to trim off this edges here just because I had so much overlay. And then I am going to baste my flaps right here. Can we see those? I'm going to baste both of those down. Okay, now we have a super fun little flap pocket. Whoops, sorry. That is all the way finished. We'll move on to the next part. I also wanted to mention, because I didn't on this, that this exterior piece here is interfaced with the geekyfuse firm and the decovil lite, like it calls for. And then I have a piece of waterproof canvas, and then for the backing, it's just interfaced with the geekyfuse again. Okay, now you're going to need your faux pocket flap exterior and a ruler, and we're going to make some markings. I don't want to disclose the markings just in case yeah, I'm not going to disclose the markings. Let's just leave it at that. But I am going to make some marks while here. So that was from the bottom up measurement. I'm gonna come to the sides next and do those. Okay, and I'll do it on the other side. And then to do the curved part, it's kind of tricky on that curve, but we can do it. So we'll make we're just drawing our seam allowance in here to help you stay consistent. Trust me, every time you're like, oh, I've got this, no problem. Somewhere it gets messed up just a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start angling my ruler. I'm gonna find my 3/8 of an inch and then just make like a dot. And then I'll just keep doing it all the way around, like every, I don't know, 1/2 inch, whatever you're feeling comfortable with, really. Then it looks like we get to a bit of a straight area for a second. And then just keep on turning your fabric. And we're to the other side again. And then I just draw a straight line. And then while I'm sewing, I won't need to draw these lines some more because I'll be able to just connect the dots as I'm sewing. Okay, so you need some 1/4 inch double-sided tape. And you're gonna lay it next to the first marking you made. No, it was the second marking. And then we're gonna lay some on the other side. I just ran out, so I'm gonna repeat that. Okay, now I have my faux flap and the faux flap lining right sides together. We're going to sew around the curves only where your double-sided tape is not. So it'll be around the bottom and up to your first marking, and then just around the top, around the neck area, I guess I would call this, like the collar. Okay, I'm gonna start at the bottom, just because. Make sure to turn your stitch down. I'm gonna use a 3. Okay, so just that curve was sewn so far from that double-sided tape around to the other double-sided tape. And then we're going to come up into this neck opening collar worked, I guess. So I'm approaching that curve, so I'm going to take one of my clips off, and I'm going to start pulling my fabric into like a straight line, so to help get around my curve. All right. And now that curved area is sewn. Okay, then you need to snip all the way around to get your fabric to lay nice. I like to snip first and then trim the seam allowance down. I don't know why. Okay, and then we'll trim it down. It's like confetti. Maybe that's why I like it. And then on the bottom, you're going to notch it. So you want to cut triangles if you don't have pinking shears. I don't have pinking shears. I guess nobody believes me that I want pinking shears in my family. So I'll cut my triangles. So again, I do the same thing in here is that before I cut the triangles first and then trim. And it's likely that's why I do the snips that way, so I can always remember to do it this way. I think trimming it first on the notches would be hard. Okay. Okay, let's turn this right side out. I hope. I'm going to start in the bottom curve, one of them, and push it through with my hand. And then go to the other one and get that pushed through. Okay. As always, you want to try to roll your lining to the back so you don't see that on the front. I like to try to press these seams down here. And smooth that out. Need like a clip right there. There's a weird bump in the, it wasn't smoothing out. It like was almost pinched. So snipping it did it. Okay, this is what we have so far. Okay, so I missed the part that you were supposed to put double-sided tape on the lining as well as the exterior. So I'm gonna try to just wing this. I'm gonna take the double-sided tape off of my exterior and fold the raw edge in like she said. Hopefully this Amazon guy doesn't ring my doorbell. Okay, so right now this is what I have. This is my double-sided tape edge. This is my lining. I'm just gonna fold my edges in of my lining to match. So you don't see the lining, but it's tucked under. Like this. So you can't see it from the exterior side, but the raw edge is tucked under. I guess I could have put double-sided tape down now, probably on most of it, instead of using these clips. But here we are. Okay. All right. That one side's clipped. It's so narrow. It's so cute. Okay, and we'll do the same thing for the other side. Okie doke, all stitched up. I don't know what is going on with the throat, sorry. I'm gonna switch to a 5 stitch length and we're gonna top stitch all the way around this at 1/8 of an inch. By the way, this is waterproof canvas and woven with the geekyfuse again. Now we're going to do that neck area. Our faux front pocket is done. Looks like a little bib right now. Okay, so because I have fabric, the next parts I can't do following the directions. So I'm gonna show you and myself how we're gonna do a facing on these hidden connectors. I've already started one to see that I was doing it right. Thankfully I did, because I messed up already, but it has been fixed and we're good to go. So you're gonna need a scrap of fabric with no interfacing on it. I would say at least 1.5 by 1.5. You want to mark the hidden connector, like the box that she has on your right side of your fabric, and then I fold on those 2 long lines. And then I marked my hidden connector markings on my main panel, and I'm going to match up my folded piece of fabric with the line, the top line, on my facing here. Hopefully that makes sense. Basically what you're doing is sewing a zipper pocket before putting the zipper in. So I'm just going to do 2 lines of stitching right on that lines we made. Okay, so those are stitched together. I do have some jump threads, so I'll cut those. Okay, just like with a zipper, we're going to seam rip a little bit of a hole. And then we'll take our scissors and do our V-clips. So pretty much you have an X in between 2 lines of stitching here. Okay, I'm gonna trim just the decovil lite piece. Yeah, I'm gonna trim just the decovil lite piece off on the stitched area. And the triangle flaps. Just the decovil lite side. You don't want to get the facing side as well. I repeat, do not get the facing cut. Okay, then like a zipper, we're going to tuck our lining through. It actually looks like you have to sew up those 2 sides, or else you end up with holes. So lesson learned, make a box, a full box, not just 2 lines of stitching. I should know this. I just did hidden connectors this way. I did the box like they told me to. But I said, no, maybe we don't have to do the boxes. Why didn't I listen to the tutorial like I did last time? And in my practice one on the other side, I sewed a whole box. So I should have just stuck with that, but here we are. All fixed up and ready to go now. We'll re-tuck this back through. Be careful that you don't rip your stitches when you're tucking it through. Okay, so now you have like a hole in your bag. Okay, don't freak out. It's okay. Okay, go ahead and get your strip of double-sided tape and measure up how far she says. And center your double-sided tape. Oops. I'm getting my measurements confused. It's fine. Take the double-sided tape off. Oop, the backing off. Again, measure up how far she says. And put your flap centered. Okay, I think that looks about all right. Okay. So there it's on. And I gotta grab my hardware. Okay, so grab your rectangle ring and slide it on and fold your fabric down in between the pocket flap and the main back, or the main front panel. So she tells you to make sure it's like 1 1/4. Okay, and then I'll clip across the handle or the rectangle ring to make sure that it doesn't shift. Then we're going to grab our folded down arm and we're going to tuck it into our hole we made. And you'll pull it flat and come to the back and flip up your pocket and actually you're going to flip up your exterior as well, and you're going to stitch your arm down on your facing as close to the hole as you can. Then you're going to pull your facing upwards. Make sure you unclip your rectangle ring if you did, and push that flap out of the way. And we're going to stitch across the top of the connector now. She says 1/8 of an inch away. Okay, so we'll repeat for the other side. My other side is done. I need to press this, I think. But this is it so far. Y'all are doing great. Okay, I went ahead and measured down from the top corner 2 inches, as she says. And we're gonna stitch around our entire flap curve from mark to mark at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Don't back stitch at the beginning or end, and we can pull our threads to the back. I am using a top stitch length. You may need to go down just a bit, maybe to like a 4. I'm not sure. Okay, and then here comes the other mark. And leave long tails. We'll flip to the back side. Oh, you know what? You're supposed to get your zipper out of the way, your zipper pocket. Look what I did. I stitched right through it. You're supposed to flip that out of the way. I just remembered that. Oh goodness. Well, thankfully you won't be able to see these stitch lines from the outside. I'm going to go ahead and pull this all the way, and then I'll come back. Okay, so this is fixed. I'm going to pull on my back thread and pull my front thread to the back so I can tie off these threads. Okay, so let's go ahead and make our marks for our rivets. We're only going to install 2 right now. But I'm going to go ahead and make the rest of my marks while I'm at it. Okay, I'm actually going to punch my first holes first. Okay, here's 1. Okay, I've got my press and my first set of rivets. These are the only set we're setting right now, so don't have any more out. I only took out my 1. Well, 2. It's just 2. Oh. So we'll go ahead and press those in. Those are set. Oops, I don't think you can even, oh, there they are. And I'll get my ruler again. Okay, so I've got this hole puncher here, and my marks are made. And we'll go ahead and punch them. Not really sure about punching through the pocket, so I flipped that out of the way. Sorry. And then we'll repeat for all 4 spots. Okay, and for this last bit, we're just going to put some fray check on. I actually have no idea how to use fray check, so if I'm not doing it right, somebody can tell me in the comments. Okay, and then we'll let that dry and get back to it. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing as before for our main panel back. We've got the facing pieces, we've got the connector markings marked, just the 2 lines on both pieces, and we can attach them. Remember to make a box this time. Whoops, we need to turn our stitch length down to about a 3. You want a fairly tight stitch length, I think. Okay, we've got one attached and we'll repeat for the other side. Okay, so I decided to cut my box size in half widthwise because I'm only using fabric straps. They're much thinner than how thick the leather's gonna be. I don't want it to be too much of an open hole. So you can see this is where my box was supposed to be, and I cut it in half this way. So now I'm just gonna open a hole in here, and just like before, we're gonna snip all the way to the corners. With how narrow I made this, I don't think I'll be able to cut off the decovil light side very easily, so I'm just gonna skip that this time. And we'll see if that makes that much of a difference. I think it'll be kind of bulky, but it'll be mostly hidden, so. I definitely like the size of my hole much better this time. It's not so big. The hole opening you could see in the stitches, it was going to be too much for my fabric. Okay, we've got our 2 hidden connectors in now. Okay, go ahead and grab your 2 pieces of double-sided tape and lay it on the right side on 2 inches up. This one's just a little bit off. I'm going to reposition it. I don't know how much it's going to matter if it's not exactly 2 inches. Okay. So then we're going to take the double-sided tape end and slide it into the hole we've got. But you want to have it the wrong side up. And then we need to have like 8.5 inches of strap hanging out connector. I'm going to pull it just a smidge more. Okay, like so. And clip it. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, let's go ahead and remove our tape. Okay, and then we're going to use our ruler and measure up. Okay, now from the top edge of our main panel, we'll measure, I'm so sorry, we'll measure 1.5 inches down and make our mark. And then 3 inches. And from there, we'll sew a rectangle. Before I move these, I'll clip them just in case. And then we're going to sew a rectangle in between the 2 lines we just made. I don't remember if I backstitched at the beginning, so I'm going to come over here and backstitch again. And then I'll show you what this one looks like. You can see I caught some of my facing. Whoops. It's probably okay. Here's my box. Okay, so now it's attached to my main panel. And repeat for the other one. Okay, we've got 2 more pieces of double-sided tape, and we're going to put them on the back of our connector. Yeah. I'm like triple guessing myself. Okay, it's on the back side of the connectors, on the insides that are already in the hidden connector. You're gonna take 2 more rectangles. Okay, I keep losing these dang rectangle rings. Okay, so we're gonna take a rectangle ring and slip it on the end. And we're going to measure 1¼ inches up from the top. To make our fold. Okay. I'm holding this in place and I'll clip it right here for the time being. And we'll slip the other one on, fold it over, and get our fold to be 1¼ inches over the top. And I'll clip this side and make sure they look even. Okay, we'll go ahead and tuck this in the hole we have. Okay, and then we're gonna take the double-sided tape off and stick it together. And of course, repeat for the other side. Okay, so then take your exterior and flip it up. And we're gonna sew right next to our connector and our little flap here. Alright, sorry. See, I caught that little flap. You want to stitch that there. Same with this one. You want to fold it up and stitch across that little tiny flap. Definitely want to get a zipper foot out for this. I sew exclusively with my zipper foot. Alright. Now we got to get our ruler and a marker again. Okay, so we're gonna make marks based on her measurements. I'm not gonna say the measurements, I'm just gonna go on and mark them. I'm gonna start at the top and measure down from the fold. I'm gonna do both of them at the same time. That way I can ensure, hopefully, that they are straight. Okay. The first marking was only supposed to be through the connector. The front and the back side of the connector. The second and third marking here are supposed to go through your connector and your back panel. Then the last marking will go through underneath the cutout and rivet that bottom in place. These all matched up just right for me. Not that I'm surprised, but these patterns are always very well written. But you know, I don't follow the directions very great, so. I'm gonna punch my holes and then I'll be back. Okay, I have my side accent, what does she call it? Detail straps, that's what they're called. And I'm gonna make my marks where she has you. I don't know if this is on both sides, so I'm just gonna go ahead and make my marks. Okay, oops. Marks are made. Okay, I've got a different punch here. I'm going to punch my holes where we marked. This little puncher is just from like Joann, maybe Amazon. It's called a Handheld leather punch. I have two different ones. This one I like better because it doesn't have grips on the bottom, and the grips hurt my hand. Okay, my holes are punched. It says to set the top most rivet and the bottom most rivet. So I'll put the top one in and the bottom on both sides. My press is from a company that has terrible customer service, at least I've heard. I did not experience that, but I'm not gonna risk it after. So I suggest getting one from Cam Snaps if you want one. Okay, the first 4 rivets are set now. 1, 2, and down here are 3 and 4. And it says to slip your side detail strap in. Into position 3, it says. You're going to install it, double check that this makes a right angle, and then, sorry, you're not going to install it. You're just going to put it in, double check that it makes a right angle, and apparently that your holes are all the way pushed out. Then you'll set it, but you have to make sure it makes that right angle first. So this goes in between your back connector, your 2 pieces of your back connector. So you'll have a rivet through the front piece of your back connector, your side strap, your back connector, and your main panel. And then you'll put the rivet on. Double check that it's at a 90-degree angle. Okay, and then you can set your rivet. Then of course we'll repeat for the other side. Okay, so one more time we're going to do our hidden D-ring connectors because I still have fabric for my exterior. Still has geekyfuse on it, still has decovil lite on it. Again, same thing. You're going to mark where she tells you. You're going to get a facing piece and you're going to put it right over those markings. After doing the facings on this bag, you should be a professional hidden connector installer, I would imagine. So congratulations to you. Now you can put hidden connectors on all the bags. Okay. And I actually used a piece of my exterior fabric this time, so you want to make sure it's right sides together. I'm going to seam rip a bit of hole. Gonna make those side clips. Oops. Hopefully I didn't just cut through my thread. Those scissors were just like embroidery scissors that I got from Craftsy before it went away. Now it's back, so I don't know what's going on. But anyways, stuff this through. You can clip out your decovil if you need to. And then we'll repeat on the other side. Okay, then we grab our side connectors and stuff them in. Okay, so actually you want your smooth side looking up when you put it through. So then it's right sides together when you pull it in. And you need to have 1 inch overhang from the top. Just from the top edge here. So 1 inch up is how much you have overhang. Okay, and then we're gonna flip over to the back side and stitch above our hole. Okay, so we're gonna flip over to the back side and we're gonna stitch right here. Here's our overhang right on the top. Don't stitch the bottom side, the top side. I'm gonna try to pull my facing taut. And you want 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And make sure you stay on your vinyl connector. Don't stitch over it. Okay, so the top is stitched on. The hole is still open. The bottom is not stitched on. And repeat that for the other side. Then you'll need your last two rectangle rings. And you slide it on there. And then you put your vinyl, well, in my case it's vinyl. I didn't use fabric for these this time. Through your hole again. You want to pull your vinyl until your vinyl ends match up. I should say you should just pull your connector. I just pulled mine a little too far. I don't think it'll really matter. It's only like a millimeter. Anyways, they line up now, I think. So this is what it'll look out like from the front. And then here's the back. We've got it sticking like straight out right now. But we're going to stitch it on the bottom. So flip it over. And that little tiny flap right there is what we're going to catch with our facing and our 2 layers of connector. So again, if you don't have your zipper foot on, you're going to need it for this piece. I missed my little flap, so I'm going to do one more line of stitching. My little flap is tiny this time. That's my fault. Okay. So here it is from the front. Again, repeat for the other side. Okay, we've got to make marks for our rivets. So follow her placement guides. So I have itty bitty mark right below both of my connectors. I'm probably never gonna find this one, so. Okay, I made it a little bigger. Let's go ahead and punch our hole. Okay, we've got holes punched. We're not setting rivets yet. Okay, we're gonna do some assembling now, but let's find the centers first. I'm just gonna fold this in half and mark my centers. You can measure out your centers like she has you do for accuracy if you would like. I've lost my, oh, there they are. I've got both sides of that clipped. I need my front and my back. Fold this in half as well and find the center. I actually already had my center marked on that one. And here's my back. I have my center marked on this one too. Look at me go, y'all. Okay, I'm gonna clip these little arms out of the way right now. We're gonna put the gusset on, so I don't want it to be in the gusset seam sides. So I clipped it upwards and away from the sides. And since I have this one in my hand, we'll start with that. We'll match our clips at the centers. I'm gonna put a clip on each side for security before I start moving my gusset. I'm gonna go to the top and clip the gusset on. And we'll also do it to the other side. And then we're gonna ease these, this in. So you can't see me, sorry. We're going to just start, I'm gonna start at the bottom here because that curve starts. And we're just gonna clip it in. I'm gonna go to the other end and clip it in. Go back to the curved area. That just fit like a glove. That was beautiful. This is my first time making this. I think I've said that before, but just in case. So I'm just like along for the ride here and altering everything. No, just for fabric. I came up with like 37 strike-off ideas for this bag. And I just couldn't get my head off of the Isolina. I just wanted those webs to stick out next to Coraline so bad. Okay, so she tells you to staple if you want your curves. I'm not going to do any stapling. I can add a couple more clips if I want to. Okay, I got a little teeny tiny pucker right there. Okay, and we'll sew this on with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. I'm going to have the back panel facing up at me. I have a zipper foot on again, as always. I'm just going to use the side of my foot as my guide. Looks like my decovil lite I didn't get centered just right, so I might stitch on some of it. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry. Let's keep going. I just like put my hand inside the one part of the bag to help smooth it out while I'm going around this curve. I don't want to move my clips too far, especially around that curve. So I was just moving them a little bit closer to each other every couple of stitches. Okay, that is on, and we're going to do the same thing for the front panel. If you would like, go ahead and check the inside of your bag to make sure everything's caught. You didn't catch any extras, like, you know, your side connector panel strips or whatever. Then I'm going to lay this inside, this being the main panel, the main front panel. Match up those clip marks. I like to put one clip on each side of the center right before it starts curving, basically. Then I'll come up to the top and start shifting that around. Same on the other side. I have like a lot of interfacing overhang. Just ignore that. I'm not sure if you're supposed to catch this zipper pocket in the seam. I don't think it actually touches the seam once you get it all stitched on there. So I'm going with I'm not catching it. Maybe I was already supposed to catch it before. I don't know. I'm going with don't catch the pocket. It's usually the case. Leave the pocket free hanging unless it's in like a wallet or something. I guess we'll see. I'm going to put a couple extra clips around these curves. Just because once you get that second panel on, it usually starts to give you a little bit more, I don't know, it tries to fight you a little bit more. So staple it if you want, don't, whatever. I'm going to do, again, the main panel facing up, and I'm going to go ahead and clip my zipper pocket out of the way before I accidentally stitch that again. Okay, you want to cut it out or no? Okay. Okay, so 3/8 of an inch seam allowance again. Make sure your needle is down before you move any of your clips, especially on the curves. That's usually like the one spot that I'll remember to keep my needle down. Usually. Okay. All right. Y'all, we got the front and the back on. Whoop, whoop. Okay, you can take a peek in there. Okay, I'm notching my curves here, and just so y'all know, I totally just clipped my seams, and I just stitched right inside the line. It actually worked out really nicely because it looked like I didn't take a big enough seam on there anyways. But yeah, right about here, I snipped my stitches. So I just went in and stitched a little bit closer. I've got notches cut out, and we're gonna flip this right side out. Again, I like to start with my curved areas and go back to the other curved area. Get those tucked in first. Or tucked out, I don't know. This is the first sneak peek at your bag. It's my favorite part when you get that little sneak peek. Has all the work been worth it? Just kidding, it's always worth it. Because your bag is gorgeous, darling. Check it out. Yeah. For our next magic trick, we're going to get our rivets again. And we're going to install and set 2 more rivets thus far. It's going to be the side detail piece and our side connectors. So you're going to take this across, put your rivet in the front here, and the side detail through the hole you placed and through your D-ring connector. Oh, it's not a D-ring, it's a rectangle ring. Like that. I don't know why I have a clip on there. Then we'll come and do the same thing on the other side. So wrap your strap, get your connector through. She has you use a medium rivet, which I've been using all the same size this whole time, so. But I don't think a medium's post can fit through here. I have a long one, and it barely fit through there with my vinyl. So maybe the leather's probably thinner. I don't know. But just be careful. Use the appropriate sized rivet. You don't want it to stick out too far, but you don't want it to not stick out at all, or you're not going to be able to rivet it properly. Mine just barely hung out. I think I have 9mm. I think they're 9x9s. That's usually what I use. All right. First one is set. I always like to put my top of my rivet in the hole. That way it's hidden and safe. If it's in the hole, it's safe, is what one person told me before. So then you won't get like any bumpies or anything. Well, that fell down, but there you go. Ooh, look at your butt. And this one. Okay, so then you're gonna need to take your raw end and fold it in a 1/2 inch. Okay, and while that's folded in, I'm gonna put a mark, oops, sorry about that. Add 1/4 inch to punch a rivet hole. I'm gonna find my punch and I'm gonna use one of these hair clips to hold that down while I'm punching my hole. Okie dokie. Then we're gonna take another rivet. Oops. This is a long one now. That's what she says to use. I'm still using all the same size. My rivet is through, and we will get it through the lowest hole we have punched. We got our, I don't know what I was going to say there, but I am going to tell you not to catch your zipper pocket again. Again, this was that long post, 9 millimeters, I believe it is, and it's very short. So keep that in mind. My vinyl, I don't have, yes I do. My vinyl is thicker vinyl. So just keep in mind your fabric choices for your rivet choices. Okay, I gotta get this on there. Okay. All right, and set. Whew. All right. Ooh, she's pretty. I love her. Oh, I love that little yellow accent. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing on the other side now. I'll do that off screen so that doesn't take up a bunch of time again. Okay, so now we need that section slip pocket and main lining. I have a piece of fabric and a piece of waterproof canvas. We're going to put it right sides together. We're going to sew across the top at a 3/8 of an inch seam. We're going to switch to a 5 stitch length. Fold our slip pocket right side, or wrong sides together rather. Press. Top stitch at an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Gonna add the slip pocket to our lining, matching it up, and baste around at an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I basted at the same stitch length that I top stitched, so I'm using a 5. I got sloppy when cutting, so I'm gonna trim down some of this. Okay, and then we're going to grab our ruler and make the marks where she has you. Okay, so my lines are drawn and I'm gonna start stitching. I'm gonna do a little tiny bit different than she says. I'm gonna start at the bottom and top stitch up. I'm gonna stop at my top stitch line, pivot all the way 180 degrees, back stitch at the top, and come all the way back down. We can just baste again, down, or you could not. Go back up the same way. And go back down. Okay, baby, thank you. Hopefully I don't bump my phone. Sorry if I do. Okay, and one last line here. And back down. For these lines, I use a Frixion heat erasing pen. These aren't great for drawing lines like that, but I did it anyways. And I'll erase my red lines soon. But now we have two pockets over here. And a little teeny tiny thing. Maybe it's for a pen. Okay, now we need our slip pocket and our other lining piece. And I'm gonna do this a little bit differently also. So what I'm gonna do here for this one in particular, I'm gonna fold all four edges in 3/8 of an inch. Now you can skip folding the short ends if you want to use like an accent trim. If you want to use a fabric accent trim, I would cut it 2 inches wide by the width of your pocket. If you're using vinyl or leather, of course, only 1 inch. Then you can just wrap it around your raw edges at the end. Okay, so then you'll take your slip pocket and fold it in half. Match up your top corners. I'm just refolding the area that popped out. I get my hang tags from Graphic Fabrics. She's wonderful. I've been working with her for a long time. These are like clothing labels, satin maybe. And they're, how long do I get? Looks like these are 3.5 by 7/8. I'm gonna top stitch my folded edge, not the folded in edges, that folded nice crisp edge. Top stitch 1/8 of an inch away. Back stitch at the beginning and end to lock in your stitches. Measure up as far as she tells you. Place your pocket. You can clip that down, pin it down, whatever. Make sure you have your hang tag at the ready if you're like me. I'm going to grab my whole main panel and slide it over. You're going to want to use your hump jumper. Or a piece of vinyl. Backstitch a couple of times on there. That way it doesn't pull out. This is where I'm going to stuff my hang tag in. Maybe. There we go. Okay, my hang tag's hanging. Okay, I'm going to use that hump jumper again. Usually it's just at the corners so that you need the hump jumper for a minute, just because it's got your side of your foot has nothing to hang on to. So you just need a little extra something over there. All right, your other slip pocket is now on. Okay, now we need our zipper facing, our 2 zipper pocket pieces, and the lining that we just worked with our slip pocket, not the one with the sectioned slip pocket. And we need a zipper. I'm actually going to use a number 3, but it's zipper tape, so hopefully it's good. We're going to baste it to the top of our pocket. Going to use that 1/8 of an inch seam allowance that we use for all basting. We're going to do that on the opposite side now. You want your zipper to be facing up when you put this on. You want your sides to match when you put the other part of your zipper on. So make sure your pockets are even Stevens. Okay, so now you have a zipper with 2 pieces of fabric attached to it, and it looks like the zipper could be upside down. It's not. So she has you press this flat and cut off your excess. No. Cut off the extra fabric. There we go. Let's do that. I'm going to leave the fabric for now and trim it after we install the zipper. Go ahead and grab 1/8 inch double-sided tape. I got my 1/8 inch from Wizardry, Stitchery, and Crafts. We're going to put it along that stitch line we made. Okay, so 2 lines of double-sided tape above our stitch lines. Then grab your zipper facing. Whoop. I'm using waterproof canvas for mine. We're gonna grab our lining too and measure down, lay our facing. Then we're gonna measure up from the bottom of our facing and we're gonna make a 6-inch line. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I lied. It's a 7.5 and a half. Okay. And then we're gonna measure. She has you do a 1/2 inch up. I'm gonna do 3/8 of an inch up because I use the smaller zipper. Because I'm really annoying like that. I just don't want to follow the rules. Now I just like showing that it can work with other things as well. It doesn't have to be exactly the way it's written. That's the great thing about making a bag. You can make it unique to your own. Make sure you go down to a 3-stitch length or something short. I'm stitching on those 2 lines I just drew, making sure that they're even at the stop and start of both sides. If you stop like 2 stitches before the end on one side and not the other, you can tell your pocket opening will be crooked. So anyways, here's my 2 lines of stitching and my really loud dogs. Okay, so we'll rip a hole in between the 2 stitch lines you just did. I would stop about a 1/2 inch away from both ends so we can do our V-clips. Again, clip all the way to the stitch line, but not through the stitches. If you stitch through your stitches, just go back in and stitch again. It's not ruined. No fret, okay? All right. You've got your V-clip. It's like a little triangle. I call it a V. Maybe it's because it's like my name. Okay, then you'll pull this facing to the inside of your bag. What I like to do here, and I actually haven't even read the rest of the instructions to know if this is what she has you do, but I'm going to take my 1/4 inch double-sided tape. This one's from Waywack. I'm sure I've said that before, but Wizardry also has 1/4 inch sometimes. I think I just looked and I think they're only out of the 1/8 inch, not the 1/4 inch. Okay, so I'm going to take my double-sided tape and I'm going to lay it on top of our little flap of seam allowance. I want to make sure that my flap is hanging over, or my double-sided tape is hanging over my flap, or this is going to be useless. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so I've pulled this facing to the inside, and now we have this little flap right here from the top, where the top's joined, to the facing. Okay, so I have it overhanging just a little bit. We'll pull off our double-sided tape backing. I swear my dogs fight as much as my children do. It's ridiculous. Okay, so then I'm going to pull this tight again so it can be nice and smooth. And we're going to fold it up and stick it down. You want to make sure that your facing is not hanging below your opening. Okay, this is especially helpful when you use waterproof canvas. You could probably just iron if you're using regular fabric. See how nice and sharp that is? Here it is from the front-ish. You can't really see it. And then we'll do the same thing to the bottom. Make sure it's overhanging your flap. If it does not overhang your flap, you will not be able to tape it down correctly. It won't stick. It'll just stick to itself. It won't lay flat down onto your main panel. Again, make sure you have this smoothed out and flat, and your lining's not hanging past your opening, or your facing rather, is not hanging past your main panel there. Okay, and I'm gonna put a short little piece of double-sided tape on each end here. And I'm gonna make sure I put it over my triangles, like so. I'm so sorry about them. They're not listening, and they might have to go to bed. All right, check out that pretty opening. So nice. Okay, let's grab our zipper. Okay, let's go ahead and take our double-sided tape off the top of our zipper. Oh, look, I just took it off the bottom because I have my zipper facing the wrong way. Okay, so we want our pull to face to the left. Well, I do. So I guess I'm going to start with the bottom. I'm going to try to fold this down. And center my zipper. I've got to put my dogs to bed. Okay, they're in bed. My bottom zipper part is on. Now I'm going to lift my flap up and take the zipper, or sorry, the double-sided tape backing off the top. Let it flap back over and stick it down. Okay, first we're going to top stitch across the top only. Again, got my zipper foot on. I'm going to use a 5 stitch length. I'm not going to back stitch at the beginning or the end. And I try to get to my 1/8 of an inch mark on the ends. Okay, so I'm going to pull my thread to the back and tie off my threads. Okay, we'll flip the pocket up and out of the way. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on with my dog. I think he thinks someone's here. This is your zipper pocket now. And here's the back side. And we'll stitch that up in just a second. Oh my God, y'all, I misread her directions. That's why it made no sense. She doesn't stitch the sides down. It's just 2 straight lines, which makes way more sense. Okay. Sorry, should have read my directions better. Whoops. still gonna do the same thing she has going on next. We're going to flip our panel up. We're gonna sew as close to the end of the zipper as we can. We're gonna go down to the bottom. And back stitch. Don't sew the bottom, y'all. That's where we're gonna turn out our bag. We're gonna do the same thing to the other side. Just sewing up the bottom, or sorry, sewing up the side. As close to the zipper sides as we can. Okay, so now we have a functional pocket that has a hole at the bottom for now. Okay, this is the panel. Okay, I super messed up this pocket according to her directions, but it's fine. Everything's fine. It'll work the same. I'm gonna stitch the facing shut like she tells you, and then I'm gonna trim the rest of the facing off like she says. And we'll trim the bottom down. I didn't want to trim my bottom beforehand because I was nervous that I would cut too much off, you know, in case I messed up. And look what happened. I messed up. So, all right, let's fold the pocket in half. This is not a pocket anymore. It's just the lining. Let's fold the lining in half and find the center, because we're going to do the same things that we did with the exterior on this gusset area. Okay, both my main lining panels have been marked, and we'll get the gusset and mark both sides of that. Clips everywhere. Okay, let's match this baby up. Right sides together. Match your centers. Put your extra clips on the bottom before moving to the top. Okay. Oh. Let's try this side. There we go. Again, it's a glove fit, so it's very snug. If you need to use staples again, you could clip into your lining gusset to help it lay a little bit more smooth if you wanted. Okay, again, I'm gonna have the main panel, the back side of the lining looking at me. I'm gonna start out at a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. I don't know, maybe 3 inches down, and I'm gonna start increasing my seam. I'm using a 1/2 inch seam because I don't know where the 5/8 is on my machine right now. And yeah. So we're gonna do a 1/2 inch seam which is pretty much a 5/8, but I'm still got that 1/2 inch seam going. Still have the 5/8 of an inch seam. Well, half, whatever. I'm to the top of my pocket here, and I just ran over it. So I'm going to start decreasing now. Because you want to be like 3 inches away again, and back to your 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So begin and end with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Go ahead and repeat. I'm going to fold this pocket out of the way. We're going to repeat on this side, except we're not going to sew the bottom. We're going to leave it open to turn the bag. And then I imagine we'll pull the bottom through the pocket, stitch it closed, and then stitch the pocket closed. So it gives you a nice finished edge in the inside of your bag without being too difficult to turn. Since I'm using fabric, I could probably get away with just turning the bag out through the zipper pocket. I'm not going to risk it this time, but depending on how easy it turns for me, I will, you know, decide for next time next time I use fabric to just do the bottom, the pocket. Jeez Louise, my words, they're so broken. Okay, again, my back of my panels facing up at me. We're starting at a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. About 3 inches away, you want to start increasing. I'm gonna go, I don't know, she just says to leave the bottom open. So I'm gonna go like fully around my curve, just so I have only a straight area to work with once the bag is pulled out. Okay, back stitch there. Slide it forward. Remember, you're going to start at your 1/2 inch / 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. I am like, it looks like I almost stopped where my pocket, my slip pocket started, my stitch, and where my slip pocket's top stitch started on the other side. I hope I backstitched. I don't remember. I'm going to decrease my stitch. Okay, I'll show you what I was talking about earlier. This is the end, or the one side of my slip pocket stitching, and I started my stitch right below that, and I ended my stitch right below the other side. So I have almost the whole opening of my slip pocket to turn my bag through, which I think is like just as big as my zipper pocket, but okay. It says trim your seams down to 1/8 of an inch. I'll do that except for the first like inch of my corners. That way I can open up those seams and reduce some bulk. You don't want to trim your seams past your opening. You need those seams. So I like to clip up toward my seam, then go around. Okay, see, I left the seams on the side at my full 3/8 so I can open my seam when I'm gonna put the bag together. Repeat for the other side. This time you can trim all the way around. Except for at the top and bottom again. For me. You do you, but for me, I'm not going to do that part. Okay. Yeah, I think that's got to be a pen pocket. It's like the perfect size for a pen pocket. One pen pocket, and another pocket. Yeah. For our next trick, we're going to take our zipper and we are going to not hand stitch it because I don't have time for hand stitching. Actually, I tell everyone that I learned how to sew on a machine so I didn't have to hand stitch. See y'all, my hand stitching, it is not pretty. I've done like 4 buttons on. Every time those stupid buttons pop all right off. I get to use them for like 2 days. Anyways, so we're gonna take this and I'm trimming my zipper ends to be the same length. Apparently when I put my zipper on, I must have moved my pull a little bit. This is why I always cut extra. I think my zipper was like 14.5 before. Now it's 14.25. But my ends are straight. All right, this can be kind of tricky the first time you do this. So if it's your first time, it's fine. You can get it. You're gonna take and fold your zipper tape at a 90-degree angle. I don't know how to show y'all this without doing it. I don't know how to do it backwards so you can see it on the screen better. Okay, so you're gonna take your corner and tuck it down at an angle. Was that right? Did I do it the right way? No. It's so hard backwards. I don't know how to do it backwards. Okay, so you're gonna turn it at a 90-degree angle, all right? So you're gonna start here, you're gonna bring this back, and you're gonna tuck this flap area up. So you have like a little folded piece of zipper tape, and you have your teeth going over the top of it, and it's curved off to the edge. Can you see that? Okay, let's see if I can try to match it now. There we go. So tuck it back with the teeth looking at you, and it needs to match up to your side here. That's going to give you that 90 degrees. And then that little piece of fabric there, fabric tape, that needs to go up right underneath your teeth. Okay, and I'm just going to stitch those down. Oh, base stitch it. This can get messy because this is why she has you hand stitch it, I'm sure. Because the tape can move. It won't catch it very nicely. It's not a perfect 90 degrees this way. So I'm sure you will get a better finished look if you actually hand stitch this like she says. A stiletto tool would be perfect for this. However, I don't have one of those. Ooh, okay. Ooh, squish it back in there. Beep. Okie dokie. I'm going to burn the ends here just to clean it up a bit. And this is what you have. Technically, your curves should match too, okay? Let's grab our main. We're gonna pinch our sides together. I'm opening up the seams while I'm doing that. So 2 birds, 1 stone. I've got a very nice point right here, and I'm gonna measure 3/4 of an inch away from that point. And I'm actually gonna cut. Not with these crappy scissors. My scissors are amazing. I love them. They're so sharp, but the tip is dead now. It makes me so sad. Okay, and we'll do this on the other side. You want to make sure to grab your front panel and your back panel when you're making these marks. Okay. Even my little thread snips here are starting to dull out. I create a lot though, so. Okay. I like my bag to open left to right, so I'm gonna start on the front side of my bag and take, actually, before I get wild here, let's go ahead and put double-sided tape on. Double-sided tape is my best friend when it comes to zippers. Okay, I'm going to put 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape along my zipper from the beginning to about 2.5 inches before the end. I hope that's going to give me enough room here. I might have to cut some of that double-sided tape off. Hopefully not. We'll see. Okay, so I've got my panel. And I'm gonna, I bet we could clip this to our sides so it stays out of the way. Maybe? No, it won't do it. Okay. So we want to take our double-sided tape off the top on the zipper teeth. You want your zipper pull on the left, and you want it to be facing, your teeth facing down onto the fabric. You're going to start your zipper where your teeth curve, right on the mark you made. Don't get your zipper on your flap. You want it to go underneath your flap. Your flap is completed. Again, don't get it on your flap. You see I keep pulling my zipper down and out of the way. Whoa, y'all, that was like almost perfect. Okay, I almost got it to the 3/4 of an inch mark on the other side. Once you do, you want to taper it off. let's go ahead and baste that on. Technically, I have that double-sided tape. I don't need to baste. I'm gonna do it just so I can catch that tapered end properly, hopefully. Make sure you keep the other side of your bag out of the way while you're basting this on. Okay, almost to the spot that I need to taper. Okay, and I'll go ahead and taper off now. And I did stitch like 1 or 2 stitches past the zipper on that side. So then what you're gonna do is take your zipper from this side and grab the bottom, like the, I guess it's technically the top. You don't want to grab the teeth end. Grab that one, wrap it around just like this so your zipper doesn't get twisted. Go to the other side and lay your zipper on the same way. You need to take your double-sided tape off. I like starting on this opposite end. To be fair, I've never done this pattern, so I don't know if I like doing it this way, but I do it on other bags this way. Okay, all the way across. And taper off again. This one is too long. So I did 2.5, or what did I say I did? 10.5. Maybe do 10. Take a 1/2 inch off of whatever I said. Don't do it that long. Then we'll taper it off. And then we'll start basting this side on. And we're gonna baste starting on the same side, on the zipper tape end side. Oh, maybe not. I'm actually gonna baste it this way. It's too much maneuvering. So I'm gonna baste from the inside. Uh-oh. I don't think you're supposed to catch those in the seams. Just saying. Okay. Down and out of the way. Make sure those connectors are out of the way. Don't be like me. Okay, and then taper that baby out of the way. Okay, if you would like, now's the time to check your zipper to make sure you didn't twist it. I usually always check just to be sure, even though I've done this like a million times. But you've seen how many mistakes I've made, so a million times or not. Check it. Okay, grab your lining. And for me, I like to have my zipper on the zipper pocket on the exact opposite side as the front. So I'm going to put my lining, or my zipper pocket on my back. We're gonna tuck our exterior into our lining. Oh, and if you didn't, hold on. We're gonna tuck our lining in. If you didn't, make sure you put your zipper pull on. I did not stitch the ends of my zipper, but I clipped a clip on there so it doesn't come off. Remember, your lining is smaller than your exterior on purpose for a nice, good, nice, snug fit. So you're gonna have to like pinch the base of your bag and tuck it in. Then open up your side seams and match those. And you'll have 4 side seams to match. Make sure your zipper is teeth down. You want to make sure your D-rings are down. We don't have any D-rings on this pattern. Why do I keep saying D-ring? Make sure your rectangle rings are down, even on your flap. Okay, you got to tuck those all the way in. Do not stitch over those. Your flap is done. Keep it out of the way. I'm going to come all the way to the other end so I can match up those side seams again. Sorry if y'all can't see me. Hold on. I don't have like a great spot right now. Okay, make sure that zipper stays tucked out of the way. The D-ring stays tucked. And it's not a D-ring. It's a rectangle ring. The rectangle ring stays tucked out of the way. Match those side seams. Get the rectangle rings, yes, out of the way. And now finish clipping in. Again, you may have to like push your exterior down so it matches up right. Because the lining is smaller, okay? Okay, pretty much swell here. So we're gonna go stitch. Okay, I'm gonna stitch from the inside of the bag here, so the exterior side. I should. And I'm going to start on a straight, long straight edge. Okay, 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and a 3 stitch length. If you are making this with vinyl, please don't use a 3 stitch length. That'll make your stitches pop probably. You're going to need, I would imagine, about a 4 stitch length. Sorry, you want to pick up this bag and you want to make it go around. A little bit harder on a flatbed, but doable. Go slow, you got this. Getting there, folks. Getting there. Almost done. I'm on my last bobbin that I have pre-wound. I'm really hoping it makes it. Woohoo! Don't trim your seam allowance. You're not supposed to trim zipper tape. If you do trim your zipper tape on accident for whatever reason, she says use glue or fray check. You could probably also melt it. That's how I prevent fraying on a zipper like end. So I imagine it's the same way. Okay, let's try to turn out this bag through the hole. If you forgot to leave an opening in your bag, or you tried to turn it through your pocket and you couldn't get it to turn through your pocket, so you need to do your lining, just go ahead and rip a hole in the bottom of your bag. Even if you've trimmed your seams, you'll be able to see where you're supposed to fold it exactly back in spot, in the spot. So just rip it open, turn your bag, rip it open. I would stitch the ends so they don't come undone when you're turning your bag right side out. Then turn your bag right side out and carry on. It actually will give you like the perfect spot to see where you're supposed to top stitch your bag shut. But you'll likely, if you trimmed your lining before you left your opening, you'll likely just need to top stitch it shut instead of pulling it through the zipper pocket like I'm assuming we're about to be doing. So like here, you'll just want to tuck it in and then stitch across the top there. Open your zipper pocket. Actually, why don't you go ahead and check to make sure you got all the way around your bag before we do that. You don't want to miss anywhere or like have pinched your zipper or anything like that. Mine looks gravy. I think she actually has you top stitch next, the top of the bag. I've got my hand inside my zipper pocket and I'm going to pull my bottom through. All right, all clipped there. Okay, let's stitch that shut. I just need that. There we go. Got it. Okay, I'm going to try to start in the stitch I left off on. I think that's it where it is. It's hard to see. This is where everyone else uses a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance and where I use just a 1/2 inch. So just keep that in mind when you're watching this part. I want to get all the way back to the spot where I started stitching. says trim the seam allowance. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference, so I'm not going to. Because again, I just don't listen very well. Sorry. So I'm folding my ends like maybe 3/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch in. Matching those ends. It gets very bulky on the two ends of a zipper pocket. If you've never done one before, definitely use the hump jumper. I use a 5 stitch length when I close my pockets, just because I've had to open my pockets a lot after I've realized I messed up something. So the zipper pocket doesn't really need that much like security, because nothing is weight bearing right there. So a 5 is really okay. All right. I just burned my thread ends. I'm gonna top. I cannot speak. I'm gonna tuck my bag in now. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. It's a little bit smaller than I thought it was going to be, but I really like the size. Not that I carry bags or anything, but this is like a good size to not get all your stuff lost. Okay, so I got my bag tucked inside itself. My zipper pocket is still sticking out, so I'll tuck that in now. Y'all, it's adorable. Okay, so there's the inside. Got our zipper, our slip pocket, our section slip pockets over on the other side. We've got our freaking cell phone pocket or something. There's another pocket. Like, amazing. So many pockets. Okay, so now it is probably the hardest part of every pattern. It's the top stitching. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so I like to make sure I roll my lining into the inside, of course. And then I'm gonna clip. If you feel any thickness, you can hammer your seams. Got one tiny pinch right there. I'm not going back for it. It's super tiny. Okay, so what you can do at this point is you can top stitch from the inside of your bag. That would make this way easier, especially on a flatbed machine. I'm going to top stitch from the outside, but absolutely feel free to just put it under there and top stitch like this. You can't usually tell the difference between the top side of your top stitching and the bottom side of your top stitching. But I'm going to do it the right way. If you also wanted, you could turn your bag completely inside out and then top stitch it a little bit easier that way as well. But I am going to fold this all down, get my connector out of the way, and I'm gonna start stitching right on, not on top of the D-ring, or the rectangle ring, but in the space above it, right above it. So when I backstitch, my backstitching will be mostly hidden by my strap connector there. So, all right, 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I have a 5 stitch length from doing my zipper pocket that way. We're gonna need a little bit of a hump jump here. A hump jump, a hump jumper, whatever. Okay, make sure you keep your other side of your bag out of the way and your flap, okay? Again, that pocket flap is finished. Okay, this part's a little thick here too, so I'll bust out that hump jumper. Keep going. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Make sure your needle is down before you move anything, unlike me. So that's that part where I keep doing the hump jumper there. That's the pocket flap opening. Okay, and now here's the side seams, so that's gonna need a bit of a hump jump too. I don't think you're supposed to call it a hump jump, but I'm calling it a hump jump. Okay. Make sure your lining's still rolled down. Again, the jumper. Keep those strap connectors out of the way. Handle connectors, rather. Get out of here. Okay, gotta get the jump again. Okay, back where I began. Whoop whoop. Good job, y'all. We just top stitched it. And that was not very difficult on that flatbed, so you can totally do it. Okay, so here it is. We're going to zipper closed. Make sure your zipper works. I might need to tuck down this one piece right here and restitch, but it's pretty all right for the most part. Okay. Whoa, sorry. We're gonna need 4 rivets and a hole punch, as long as I counted right. There we go. Okay, so we have a hole here that we need to finish punching. Sorry about that. On the other side, So these are the holes behind your pocket flap. And then you should have 2 more holes on the back. Okay, maybe that one went through. Oh, it did. It just didn't make a noise. All right. So, rivet all the way through. That one was pretty good. There we go. And we'll do the front. Remember your right side of your rivets are going to go face down in the hole so they're protected. I've also noticed if I don't set my press or my rivets in with the right side in the hole, they always shift, and then my rivets don't set properly, and I'll take them out with my rivet remover thingy, and the post is bent. So like, I just didn't keep it straight while I punched it or something. It's very odd. But every single time I put it face down, it's perfect. Okay, so you should have 4 rivets inside your bag now. Zippered shut. Oh, she's so cute. Okay, so let's do, she has you do the crossbody and the straps. Okay, so we're gonna do like 6 marks? 4 marks? I'm not sure. We're gonna fold back our strap and our handle 1.5 inches. And then we're gonna mark 5/8 of an inch. Let's punch all of our holes. We will not be setting all of our rivets though. Okay, let's just start with the adjustable strap panel. You'll need your whole bag. Woohoo, we're done. Okay, we're going to loop one end of our strap through our connector and fold it up and put one of our rivets. I think you'll need 6 again. Considering that's how many holes we just punched, I would imagine that's how many we need, huh? Silly me. Okay, shockingly, I don't have to do any finagling. I had like the perfect amount of room for that rivet to fit through. You'll notice I kept my strap straight while I tried to get to the other side. Okay, we're gonna thread our rectangle, our adjustable strap to the top. I might need my Gigantor. I think I'm gonna need my Gigantor. Pull it through. You wanna stuff it under. Into, from the front side. Don't twist your strap. Up and under this connector. Then you're going to need to come up through your ring. Oh yeah, hold on, let me get the Gigantor. I have to say, saying, let me get the Gigantor sounds really cool. Okay, I'm going to unthread this real quick. So this is a regular sized well, non-adjustable slider. It's a buckle. And then here's Gigantor. I love Gigantor. I would prefer to use Gigantor all the time. I think it's a very awesome shape, but the Gigantor is too loose for some of these fabrics. So I gotta move it along quick here because my phone's about to die. So up through that connector piece. Okay, make sure your strap's not twisted before you go too much further. Stuff it back up the closest side of the connector, the Gigantor, and back down. You'll match up your rivet holes and put your rivet through. I'll set that off screen, and I'm going to show you one handle, hopefully, before my phone dies. Okay. Again, just match your holes. Hi. I wanted to make sure my strap was going the right way. You don't want to twist your strap. Again, I have directional straps, so I definitely wanted to make sure those were going the right way. Okay, like so. We will attach a zipper end now. Okay, I always put a magnet down. Get my strap or my zipper end out and drop my screw right on there. I need my little tiny screwdrivers rather, little tiny screwdrivers. We're gonna take our zipper end and we're going to fold it to the teeth on both sides. And then we're gonna wrap them around each other so that our zipper ends, the raw ends or whatever, are hidden. Okay, so you'll have just this little tiny flap now. I like to try to melt it so it sticks together. Makes it for easier insertion. Insert your strap or your zipper end. Get your screw and your screwdriver. You can put some thread lock on there, some E600. I'm not going to do either. Again, in a rush. So, screwed on. You want to tug on your zipper to make sure that it's all the way in there on both sides. And for pretendsies, your bag's done. Woohoo! Good job, everyone!